The main properties of waves, you need to study and to understand the amplitude, the wavelength, the periodic time of the wave, and the frequency. And the meaning of the amplitude, it is the maximum displacement can be reached by the vibrating or oscillating body. That means the beginning of the vibrating from the rest position and starting to oscillate through the medium like the sound wave and reach to the displacement, the maximum or the higher distance can be reached by this oscillating particles. This is called the amplitude. And the greater the amplitude, of course, it's the greater the loudness as we will see in the next part of this revision. The wavelength هو distance between two successive crests or between two successive troughs or between two successive compressions or two successive rarefaction. And the periodic time can be defined as the time taken for complete one wave. And the frequency, it is the number of oscillation particles to complete one wave in a definite time or in 1 second. Here we have the diagram that represents the sound wave. As we see, عندنا في compressed region, which is the compression region. It is the region at which the particles are closely packed together and has higher pressure in this region because the oscillation particles become very close packed together near to each other, and the distance between the oscillation particle and the next is very small. But the region at which the particles are furthest apart or far away from each other, this is called the rarefaction particle region of the sound wave. And of course, we can represent the amplitude for the sound wave by the same amount, by the same method. الامبليتيود أو the maximum displacement can be reached برضو عن طريق oscillation particles. The crest, it is the point at which, it is the top of the peak, at which the particles reach the maximum point of oscillation. And the trough, of course, it is the minimum point at which the particles make an oscillation. Very important part وهو difference between أو similarity between amplitude and the loudness. In fact, the loudness is the same as the amplitude. So if you have a higher amplitude, so you got a higher sound or a louder sound. And of course, if you have higher pitch of sound, that means has a higher frequency. So of course, as you have lower pitch of sound, that means lower frequency. So the meaning of the amplitude is the displacement reached by the oscillating particles, and for the sender, for the meaning, for the main source, the main reason for sending the source, for sending the sound. So the loudness, it is the sound you can hear by your ear. And if you have a higher sound, that means higher volume, معناها louder sound. And lower amplitude, that means quieter sound. And higher frequency, that means higher pitch of sound. And lower pitch of sound, that means lower frequency for the wave. Here we have a sample investigation to practice about the scientific inquiry questions in your exam. How can we get speed of sound, for example? Here we have a simple method. We have two persons. The first one shoot a starting pistol with a fire, so another observer will stay away from the first person. Once the person can see the light from the pistol, you can start or reset your stopwatch and measure the temperature, and you of course can calculate and measure the distance between the two observers. So here we have the distance and we have the time by stopwatch, so we can calculate the speed of sound. This is يعني a simple example to practice about investigation in this part of the sound. Very important part in this lesson, where this is very new. This is a new part in your syllabus, which is the interference of sound. How the sound make interference with each other. The interference of sound, in fact, happen when there are two waves are the same type with the same frequency and same amplitude. So when two waves meet each other, this is called interference. And we have two types of interference. When the interference of the sound wave happen or take place, so two action will may happen. The first one is the reinforce between the sound wave, or it's called the constructive, or it may has another action which is called the destructive interference. What is the difference between them? When if you have the first one, wave X, and the second wave Y, the both waves have the same amplitude here and the same frequency. The frequency in the wave X is 3 Hertz, and the wave Y is also 3 Hertz. So when these two waves are meet together, it leads to constructive interference or reinforce. And you should practice how to draw the interference by reinforce or by الكنسل of the sound wave. ولكن لو the two waves are meet together, the first one starts from the crest, and the second wave starts from the trough. So they will cancel each other, and this is called destructive interference, or cancel and you hear nothing. Okay, so you can hear no sound. So the cancel of the sound wave will take place when the peak and the trough meet together, and the first one starts from a crest, and the other second wave starts from the trough. And we called the one that starts with the crest is a positive number or a positive wave, and we give the other wave a negative number, and when the positive and negative meet together, so the result will be 0. And this is called cancellation of sound wave. Let's go to the electricity in the second video, inshallah. Okay, please يعني